Hey everyone, welcome back to Game Informer. We are checking out Night in the Woods today. I'm your host Elise Favis, and I'm here with Ben Hansen.
Hello, I'm on the sticks.
Yeah. So you may not know too much about Night in the Woods, or you might have heard about it on social media a little bit, but basically you play as a talking cat who returns back to their hometown called Possum Springs, and a bunch of things have changed, and you kind of reunite with your old friends,
That's the gist of it. It has such a unique art style. I feel like it does really pop. You point out social media. I'm sure everybody has seen some tweets floating around now where it's like, what is this 2D artsy thing?
There's some buzz around it. Reviews are kind of slowly popping up now, but I really like it. It's really unique and narrative driven.
This is the most action that the game has, by the way, so don't think that it's a platformer. At least I'm like 90 minutes in. Elise, you finished it, so
right.
Does it get more action-oriented later?
Not... I mean, there are some chase scenes. There's a chase scene at one point.
Okay.
It's light action. It's more, actually, rather than action, I think I would say it gets spookier as it goes on.
What level of spooky are we talking about?
We're talking like ghost story spooky.
Good God. Ken Levine's new studio?
Not on that level.
Oh, I see.
But it goes places, and it's interesting because you also, as you can see, kind of do some light platforming to get around. We're in this like old playground, and our parents kind of forgot about us basically. They didn't show up at the station to pick us up as we come home. We dropped out of college, and you don't really know why yet, but the reasons
also
for that
your grandma forgot about you as well.
Yeah, well.
This journal thing I think is really interesting.
I do think so, yeah.
Because I saw that a writer over at Naughty Dog was really excited about this game, and he was tweeting all about it, Josh Schur over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because throughout the game, it's a very Uncharted style for the journaling. Like whenever there's a little plot update or something, it'll like be a refresher on who this person is, how your character feels about them.
Except you're not really using it for any puzzle solving or anything like that. It's just...
Right.
But it is kind of similar in that sense to Drake's Journal, definitely.
But it's a surprisingly strong way to convey the personality and also have a refresher for what's this character's name again?
Totally.
What is the deer?
And sometimes just remembering some of the big beats or even the little beats.
Yeah.
It's a neat way of doing it.
At least I've only played like 90 minutes of this game, and I don't think it conveys well in a video. It's a very narrative-driven game, and so it's tough to show off and be like, this is why it's awesome. But I absolutely love this game. Playing just the 90 minutes, I'm like, this is what I want adventure games to be. Not really puzzles, just light stuff and just strong narrative, really interesting characters, interesting world.
Hey, I totally agree with you. And actually, by the time this video goes up, my review will also be up.
Yeah?
And I gave it an 8.75.
Oh, really?
Because it is, pretty much everything I want out of an adventure game, too. I think the only downfall to it is... as you play, you do feel like it has a sluggish narrative, I guess, which is fine on some level. I think for me, it depends on what kind of player you are and what you look for in a game, but it definitely takes a while to get to that narrative climax.
It's interesting you say that. You call it sluggish, but out of the gate, I think I'm really interested just in the more casual, subtle social dynamics of these characters and the old friends reuniting. On the podcast recently, I compared it to Scott Pilgrim versus the World, not the action sequences, but just the more mundane aspects of just. But
I guess what I'm saying is not everyone is into that, but I think they do it in a way that is very colorful in this game.
So what I worry about, though with the game, tell me if I'm right to be worried. Is I worry it's kind of take that Firewatch twist, where I know a lot of people were like, I really love the Firewatch stuff, and then it got to this larger story that was kind of distracting and not as compelling as just the core characters. So does this layer too much onto the core story?
Sometimes I did feel like the quote-unquote core story, which I guess is that ghost story that you get into later on, is a little bit distracting from that kind of main premise of May, our main character, coming home and building on those friendships, and it's just so much about human emotion, I guess, and being in her mind and figuring out, people mention they mention these things like, hey, you did this thing years ago and people remember that, and you put this guy in the hospital, and you don't really know what the heck is going on with that until later, and it becomes very complex and profound and interesting.
Profound, that's a strong word.
I would definitely say so.
Wow.
And yeah, I did feel like at times the ghost story stuff did distract a little bit from that, but also compelling in its own way.
But if they didn't have, a larger, more twisty narrative,
100% have still played this and probably still loved it.
Right, but I think maybe it would be a tougher sell, or I'd imagine it takes a lot of confidence from a developer to push that far in that direction and not have that somewhat more, I don't know, genre hook, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And, the characters are just so well written. I think Mom here is, like, one of my favorite characters, actually, because she has this kind of dark humor that comes up every once in a while.
Yeah.
She reads, like, these weird crime stories and tells you about them.
It's always bizarre
it's incredibly bizarre.
When really human characters are represented by animals.
It is weird. And I feel like there's not much, like, distinction between normal animals and and then what we have here.
Right.
So you see like a normal cat walking by.
And it's not like Zootopia where it's a lot of references to like, oh, we don't like the carnivores or watch out for that possum.
No, because it's never really referenced.
It never is, yeah.
Directly implied that, yeah, it's interesting.
Also, I love the attitude of both the parents where, May is coming back from college, something mysterious happened there, dropped out for some reason. And there's something really caring but distant with the parents, which is just a tone that you rarely see convincing angles on, like parents in video games. And this especially, it's like that is such a good tone that they nail out of the gate about just parents are friendly, not dicks, not over the top, but there's some emotional distance between you and them.
Definitely. Yeah, it's so well done in that way. And I remember thinking at first, I'm like, is she not upset with me, like, for dropping out, you know?
Right.
And it's kind of, I think she's repressing that.
Okay.
I think you can see as the game goes on, like, more worries come up and her tone changes, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Please don't.
But yeah, as you can see, like, anyway, conflicts come up and stuff, which is interesting.
And so it has a good momentum to it so far, but is this largely what the game is just running around these 2D environments, jumping around a little bit, and just talking to a lot of people?
Yeah, I think also it's also about these smaller experiences that you have with your friends. Like, a lot of the story progresses by hanging out with them and trying to uncover this mystery that's going on, that this kind of ominous, weird, strange happenings that are going on, and figuring that out with them and getting to the truth.
Yeah, very Oxenfree in that sense.
Very much Oxenfree. I mean, also, you look at the dialogue, it's also very reminiscent of that.
Yeah. And so something interesting is every once in a while they'll shake up the gameplay from what I've seen, just in simple ways where sometimes you control like May's hand directly, or there's a bizarre music rhythm section where you're playing in a band and you have to play along.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and that comes up a few times throughout the game.
Oh, really?
And you have all these other mini games too. I think one that stood out to me was hanging out with my best friend Greg, who I think is a wolf. And I'm basically like shooting pierogies into his mouth and like aiming, and when I miss, like he gets it all stuck on his cheek and stuff, which is
that's awesome.
It's really good, and I love these little details.
Really like the relationship with Greg out of the gate, where it's just like over the top love. Like, Greg's the best, never doubt it. Greg's my best bud.
I love his wiggly arms.
It's a lot of flailing, his little wiggly arms.
It's gonna be a GIF very soon, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure we'll meet Greg in a bit. Also, it's kind of interesting when you talk to these different characters. Like these little kids, they called you Lady. And you're like, lady, like, I don't feel like a total adult yet. And it's cool because, like, May is kind of in this in-between stage in her life, right? Where she hasn't totally let go of her youth yet. Mm-hmm. And she's also kind of trying to figure out adulthood at the same time. But she's drifting, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't really know where she's going. And she doesn't know where she does want to go. So.
And is this really a connection for you, Elise? Did you feel connected to May in that sense?
I have felt that way before, totally. So, yeah, I think a lot of like young adults could could relate to that. So yeah, this is like a bulletin board, and you can actually move stuff around if you grab onto it.
Really? Sure. Here's gameplay. People say adventure games don't have gameplay. What more do you want?
Like,
Come
there's
on.
really actually nothing to it there. It's just moving random stuff, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Yeah.
The one gripe I have so far, you can see it right here. It's the loading screen. There's a lot of loading in this game.
Yeah, they're short enough that it didn't really dampen my experience.
Okay. Oh gosh, these jerks.
Oh man. And also, it's interesting because you overhear conversations about these little changes that are happening in this small town, and how like there is economic struggle, and how it used to be this like very prosperous mining town, and how that's not the case anymore, and these just like working class folks are kind of struggling, you know, to keep their way of life or whatever. And it's interesting in that sense too, because you don't see that so often in games. Like, I think the only comparison I can really think of is like Kentucky Route Zero, maybe.
Sure, yeah. Which I haven't played.
Oh man,
I keep telling myself that I'm gonna wait for all the episodes to get out, but.
And this is Greg.
Here's your bud.
He's like your best bud. I kind of love their camaraderie between each other.
Also, it's a subtle touch, but I really love this game that it's actually not voice acted.
Yeah, because it kind of leaves it up to your imagination.
Yeah, it feels a lot like a little graphic novel.
Yeah, I also love that they have all these like hypothetical ways that the other one should die, and that's like how they bond. It's so weird.
Yeah. Were you fully sold on the writing? Were there any moments you're like, this is a little bit too internet-y, a little bit too cutesy?
Sometimes, but mostly I was pretty much digging it.
Yeah, I think it just stands out so much in the game industry. I really am excited to see where this game goes.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you know where it goes, Elise.
I thought you meant in popularity-wise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm curious about that, too. It seems to be picking up some steam as a little indie darling already, but it's available on, what, Steam and PS4?
Yeah, I saw some people comparing it to, like, you know, the hype of Undertale, which, I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
I guess I didn't think of that comparison, but maybe the dialogue is a little bit in that vein. Not quite as wacky as Undertale, obviously, but...
No, but there is that kind of uniqueness I think the two have.
Yeah, for sure. So 875, huh?
Yeah.
Who are you recommending this to?
Man, anyone who likes story-driven games, if you like Firewatch, Oxenfree, if you enjoy dialogue, if you enjoy character development, I think this is, oh boy, I would actually say some of the best character development I have seen in a heck of a long time.
Yeah.
The characters just evolve so much. Like, you know, I think of, you know, one character that comes across bitter at the beginning, you know, her actually, B. she opens up to you more as the game goes on.
Please don't spoil character development.
It's minor stuff. So everyone kind of slowly evolves and changes, which is neat.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't mind a game with a slower metronome than normal, you know, if you don't mind just reading a lot.
Yeah, it's a relaxing game. It's slow paced, but I wouldn't say that's a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely one of the surprises of the year so far for me.
Oh yeah, me too. I didn't expect it to be this good, honestly. I think I didn't really know what Night in the Woods was for a while. Like, I was like, is it kind of a platformer game? Is it, you know, like, what is it trying to be? And then finally when I played it, I was like, okay, so this is telling its own unique story about, you know, coming of age and... Yeah,
clearly this is what Night in the Woods is pressing these buttons and playing along to a crude version of a harmonics game.
But, you know, even this is fun, and geez, the soundtrack is just so good.
Well, you're welcome to sing along and really flesh this out if you'd like, Elise.
You know, you can take it away, Hanson.
I can't. I'm trying to play. I can't read those lyrics.
Dude, man, what kind of musician are you?
Yeah, not a very great one. But
so, you know, Night in the Woods is this awesome story-driven game with quirky characters and a kind of spooky, you know, main arc for a storyline. So yeah, if you're into that, I think it's about $20 on Steam and PS4, so you should totally check it out.
Yeah, if it seems like your type of thing, it probably is your type of thing.
I hope it is your type of thing.
We all hope it's your type of thing. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks.